Thank you for joining us for another wonderful session here in the East Wing. And my name's Gene Blackley, and I am glad to welcome you here if you haven't been in this room already. I'm hosting in this room because Jamie McIntyre asked me to. Some of you might recognise me. I've worked for many years with 21st Century Academy and Education, so you might recognise me from a video or a seminar. I'm a private investor. I like to just come here and be part of these sort of days to hear what everyone's doing and what they've got to say. And I also run an investment fund that brings hedge fund style investing to retail investors like you. I'll be around if you want to say hello, but for now I'm delighted to introduce one of my old friends who has built up an extraordinary array of expertise in what's best summed up as the new economy. Jennie Armato is a graduate of 21st Century Education in the year 2000. Since then she's gone on to develop her own investment success, but particularly has built expertise in how to tap into the new economy, thanks, of course, to the burgeoning success of the internet. Jennie, over the years, has built a lot of expertise in how to build online businesses, how to make a start with very little to begin with, and has taken people like you and I from really no business acumen or experience or expertise and helped them on the path to creating an income stream through entrepreneurial activity online. But of course, the internet moves very quickly and it changes at a rapid pace. So over the years, Jennie has kept ahead of the curve, been involved with new emerging technologies, and today we're very excited because she's going to be sharing some exclusive material. She's been underground a little while for the last year or so, and this is the first time that she'll be presenting this material about the opportunities in one of the hottest markets in the world right now. This product here changed the world. Changed the world a number of years ago with the first release of the iPhone. Very, very significant impact, because if the internet is one of the biggest things to happen for us in the last 50 years, the next most important way for the internet is, of course, bringing it into our pockets. The notion that it is always with us, always on, always connected. Out of interest, just to see how it aligns with statistics, who here owns a smartphone that's internet connected? There you go. So you see that's right along with the 40-50% average of smartphone ownership in the US and Australia. In fact, a bit more than 50% of you here. So it just goes to show you how much of an opportunity we're talking about in this session. That announcement's finished? Yeah. Very good. So, in case my intro is not enough, that's someone else telling you Jennie Armato is about to get started. So please, a warm welcome for one of the princesses of the new economy, Jennie Armato.
Thanks, mate. Thank you. Hey everyone, how you doing? Good, great, or outstanding? That's really good to hear. I did my first education summit in December 2000, as Gene said, and it was with Jamie McIntyre in the 21st Century Academy. And it wasn't a summit at this size and magnitude, but what it did give me was the education and the opportunities to transform my life. And it taught me how to create a wealth portfolio. The very idea of something like creating wealth was a term that I had no connection with whatsoever, growing up as a plumber's daughter in Clayton. So out of that, I launched my ideas around what I wanted to do to create wealth. I got involved in property, I got involved with shares, and of course I've been in business since 1992. I'd been on the internet since 1996, which does make me a little bit of a veteran of the industry. And I was at a conference for 21st Century Academy about 5-6 years ago doing a presentation. And a woman in the audience, she met me in the bathroom. She said, "You know what, you're really like the grandmother of the internet." Now, I don't know if the guys get it, but girls, we don't want to hear that, do we? Right? You know what? How about the godmother? And so the godmother was born. In 2001, I attended a follow-up seminar with Jamie, and I met a man who is now my husband. So not only did I get the financial education to change my life, I met the man that changed my life as well. So for those of you that are single, these are great pickup spots. Worked for me. So in March 2002, we took a holiday to the Maldives, and this holiday sealed the deal. You know those holidays? Those of you in relationships, you have that moment when you seal the deal? You fill in the blanks. Anyway, we went to this very exotic and very exclusive resort on an island. A few pennies are finally dropping. That's all right, honey, I'm on delayed action as well. So I just appreciate the fact that you actually get the joke. So feel free to laugh. So we went to this beautiful exotic island called Ihuru Island in the Maldives Islands. And it's an island where they only take 30 guests at a time. So it's quite exclusive. And just to give you another idea, back in 2002, it was $900 per person per night to stay at this resort. So that's how exclusive this place is. So can you imagine that these very well cashed up people that take their vacations on this island? Yes? Yes? Hello? Yes. All right, this is an interactive presentation. I'm a teacher, not a preacher, so please join in. So it turns out that we were right about that. And each night at sunset, we would meet up with the other couples, of which there's only a total of 15 couples on the island, for cocktails at sunset. And on night one, we meet this stockbroker. Now, Paul and I have just had the financial education of our life through 21st Century Academy. So this guy announces that he's a stockbroker, so that immediately piques our interest. You know, oh, that's really someone we want to talk to. So we started building a bit of a relationship with this couple who turned out to be really lovely. So on about night 3 of the 7-day holiday or 7-night holiday on Ihuru, I start asking a little bit more because I'm inquisitive. I like to know. Who else likes to know? Right? So I approached him and I said, tell us a little bit more about what you do. Now, Jamie had clued me up as, don't be afraid to ask questions and all that sort of stuff. So I'm a little bit, smarty pants like. So I've gone, so, who do you work for? And he rattled off a couple of names that he works for. And then the third one, he said, and I also am a financial advisor for Richard Branson, who had always been, in my mind, the hero of heroes when it comes to entrepreneurs. So I'm having this happy dance on the inside, that sense of self-containment, like, all right, just play really cool here, you're meant to be one of the crowd. Oh, hello, can we pop me back on? Thanks. So immediately I'm like, okay, now I really have to get friendly with these people because I really want to know some inside stuff about Richard Branson. And you know what? Over the course of the remaining days, I got that inside stuff. And I basically picked his brains about what are the principles and practices that Richard Branson adopts that has helped contribute to his success. Do you want to know what they are? Yeah. And the rest of you? Yeah. All right, just checking we're all breathing. Okay. So the first principle and practice was this. Easy. He said he gets involved in businesses and opportunities that are easy to get involved in. He's not out to become a Steve Jobs type innovator. He wants to take existing products and services, existing industries, and find out where the problems are and make them better. Who saw that with the airlines? Hello, Virgin Airlines? Who noticed he brought a whole new brand and energy to that industry, yeah? So the first thing is not necessarily that what he finds is easy to do, but easy to make decisions about because it's obvious. He looks for where the obvious opportunities are, where the growth is, where the momentum is, and where the holes are in the marketplace. And I found that extremely valuable. How about you? Stop looking and trying to, and attempting to do the things that are hard to do. You don't need to be a maverick and an inventor. Find out where the market is moving and move into that market. Timing is imperative. That's what makes it easy to make the right decisions. So that was the first one. The second one, he said, if it's not fun, he won't come. Now, that doesn't mean that every day is a joyride in business or making money. Would you agree? Life has its ups and downs, yeah? Yes, of course it does. But if he can see a way forward to have fun in what he's doing, that he has a brand that he can market and get excited about and get other people excited about, then he wants to be involved. And that's why he has that whole PR that you see, and the promotional girls, and the adventures that he's done, the hot air ballooning, and those of us that are a little bit older, he's been a thrill seeker for a long time, right? He's always done things that he can attach his brand to having some fun. If it's not fun, he won't come. And I thought, that's really interesting, because I can't tell you the amount of times I've got into opportunities or in my professional career and I've had an absolutely bloody miserable time. Who can relate? Is everyone happy down the back? Who can relate to being in something you don't enjoy? Right? And he's like, why do that? Why make yourself miserable? If you're actually feeling disheartened, uncontent with what you're doing, then change it around so you can have fun, or get out of it, stop doing it. So I found that a really valuable principle and practice to live by. The third one, just making sure you're all watching, building the anticipation. The third principle in the practice is you must be able to see where you can make cash. If you can't readily identify how you're going to make cash out of something, what the hell are you doing getting involved in it? How many of you will admit with me that you've done things without really being sure how you're ever going to make a cent out of it? Right? But Branson doesn't make those sorts of decisions. He doesn't need to make, and we don't need to take those sorts of chances. So I thought that was really enlightening. And the other really important thing about this in terms of financial education is cash flow really is king. And that was his saying, cash is king. You must have cash. Try building a wealth portfolio without cash flow. You can't. Cash flow is the lifeblood of a healthy financial situation. Cash flow is the key to set me free. That's what I came to understand from that principle and practice of Richard Branson's. So if he can't see where the cash is, then he's not going to get involved, but he focuses on opportunities where he can tap into cash flow, because cash flow enables everything else that he wants to do in his life to actually happen. What do you think of that one? Let me hear a woohoo! All right. And the fourth one is this. He said he doesn't do anything unless it's systematic. He works out a plan, he works out a structure, he works out how it's going to work, and then he gives the actual work to somebody else. That's how he makes space to make easy decisions and have fun and focus on where to make the money. You don't build an outcome like he has without systems, without something to follow, without a structure for other people to do the work for you. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? It does, doesn't it? So those 4 principles there and practices there, coupled with what I learned just 6 months prior at the Education Summit, changed my life. And so out of that, I came up with this concept that I'm going to share with you today, what I learned here and what I learned from Jamie, about what I call true value opportunities. Because we've all heard the saying, an opportunity comes along once every day. Honestly, who here sometimes feels like they've got opportunity overload? Okay. Who here has a lack of opportunities? And who here wouldn't put their hand up no matter what? Right, okay, great. Caught ya. So he makes decisions on that system, and so have I. So the true value opportunity criteria that I've come up with has allowed me to make quality decisions that have allowed me to position myself at the right time to be in the right space in a market. Because I'm looking for easy. Who else is looking for easy? Turn to the person next to you, say, yeah, I'm looking for easy. Good. Easy decisions. I'm looking to have fun. Who else is looking to have fun? Turn to the person next to you and say, I'm looking for fun. I'm looking For cash flow streams. Who else is looking for cash flow streams? Turn to the person next to you and say, I'm looking for cash flow streams.
Cash flow streams.
And then finally, I want to have a system. Who wants a systematic structure that they can then pass the work off to someone else to do for you? Turn to the person next to you and say, I'm in love with systems. Now turn to the person on the other side and say, I'm in love with Jen. Thank you. It's how to make a middle-aged, overweight woman feel a bit better about herself. Love ya. All right. So I developed the app cash system, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. Because when you combine the true value opportunity criteria that I learnt through Richard and through Jamie, and you couple it with being in the right place at the right time, and it all relates to these little things called mobile devices. This technology has changed the world, not just iPhones. We're actually going to talk about some Apple things specifically in this presentation. But this has revolutionised the opportunities for you and I to make money easily, fun, have continuous streams of cash flow, and do it in a systematic way. Who's up for that? Yeah. Fantastic. All right. So, let's talk about these two icons. Who knows what they are? One is... And the other one is? The App Store. These two websites, if you like, or two services in particular, are leaders in their field. So we could just talk about them alone. And I'm going to talk about Facebook later and how I generate leads on there without becoming part of the Freakbook community. You know what I'm talking about? Who else is on Facebook? All right, great. All right, what I want you to do, if you're on Facebook, is take some specific notes about what I'm going to speak about and make sure you check out what I talk to you about later on. Who here, just as a matter of interest, actually has an iPhone? Fantastic. Who here has accessed the App Store? Fantastic. Excellent. Facebook and the Apple, the iApp Store represent some of the biggest changes ever in the history of the world. Not just those businesses alone, but what Facebook represents in terms of social media and what the iTunes Store represents in terms of applications. Now, the internet itself is not what makes life easy for us. It's the software that we use. That's what actually enables us to do all the things that we do on the internet. It's software that runs websites. It's software that operates e-commerce. It's software that builds lists. It's software that runs the banking facilities that you might use online. Are you with me? And software is really what apps are. Apps is short for applications. And so when you combine applications and the technology, if you like, that an application enables you and I and our potential consumers, our marketplace, to access, when you combine that with the power of social media, which has changed the world forever, you have an unprecedented time in history at a time when you and I actually have the voice. Who here saw what happened, particularly with Twitter and the Middle East? People controlled what happened there. What about London, the riots in London? Who saw that, what happened there? They used social media to coordinate what they were doing as a community. Now, there's not necessarily a business in that, but what it shows is that we are more in control about the decisions that we make every day in our lives than we've ever been before. And let's just have a quick look back in history. Oh, actually, before we do, I want to talk to you about something else, a term I developed. It's called the lingo of Kachingo. Say it with me. The lingo of Kachingo. And the lingo of Kachingo is this. Cash flow is the key to set me free. What is it? One more time, louder. Key to set me free. Fantastic. That is the lingo of Kachingo. It's something I came up with. And I want you to never, ever forget the lingo of Kachingo, because too many people take their eyes off cash flow, and that's when crisis hits. Who can relate to what I'm talking about? I'm talking from experience. Cut out the cash flow and crisis hits. Cash flow is the key to set you free. Now, if we go back to what I was talking about with applications and where we are right now, let's look at the past quickly, the present, and then where we're going in the future. Because what I want to teach you now is how to position yourself for easy, fun, systematic cash flow streams. That's the era and that's the opportunity, that's the window we're in right now. So if we look into the past, what we call Web 1.0. And we access the internet through desktop computers. So we'd drive home, go into our office or the spare desk, whatever you had at home, and you'd log in on your 486, which is what I did when I first started on the internet. Who had a dial-up modem here? Remember that? Yeah, right? The desktop computer. And you know what? The desktop computer... Was that pretty good? Thanks. The desktop computer is really something fast becoming of the past. People will not want to go into a removed space to access information, education, entertainment, whatever it is that we want to do when we access the internet. People are going to be accessing the internet without having to remove themselves from what they're currently doing. And I'm not necessarily talking about this is coming, we're actually already doing it, right? Who here has checked something on the internet while you've been at this event? Whether it be email or whatever, right? Okay, fantastic. So that's how we did things. And the other thing was we carried around cash in our wallet, right? We were a cash-based society. And many stores would offer us a discount even if we had cash, so they wouldn't have to pay merchant fees, because back then they were very expensive. Where are we right now? We're in Web 2.0, the present. And we've gone from broadcast media, which was part of the old economy, if you like, or the Internet 1.0, where only big business and big budgets had access to mass markets. You know, if you couldn't afford a television or radio commercial, you couldn't get your little business and your little voice out there. Who knows what I'm talking about? It was reserved for big players only. With Web 2.0, social media turned that on its head, and suddenly you and I were able to level the playing field, and we were able to position ourselves as a leader in a market and a community. And so this is where we are currently. So we've gone from broadcast media to social media, and so social proof plays a big part in that, and it's influencing people's buying decisions. Because people are looking on the internet for people who sell things ahead of products and pages. We're actually referring and preferring to go to Facebook and sites like that to see what we can find out about a company and the people that operate it ahead of what the company's saying on their own website, which is what you'll find on search engines. And so even though the search engines are still very popular, the reality is that people spend only minutes on a search engine and they spend hours in social media. So this is a big, big shift. Who's noticed anything about what I've just said here right now? That's where we are. And we've gone from a cash-based society to a card-based society. Everything's swipe, right? Swipe, or we went to the smart chip more recently. What's happening now? And I'm calling this the future, but it's not the future, it's here now. And what I'm just wanting you to do is step into a space that the people around you aren't in yet, because that's the window of opportunity. Are you with me? Yep. And this is Web 3.0 or Business 3.0, the future. We're going from broadcast to social now to mobile media. When mobile phones first came out, it was really just about phone calls. Then text messaging came in. Then browsers came and email came in. And now with apps, you can pretty much do anything and everything that you want in relation to education, information, entertainment, financial management, lifestyle management. Any of the elements that make up a day-to-day living can all be done through on a mobile device through apps. And here's an example. Who's downloaded a Woolies app, the Woolworths app? Have you tried it out? What do you think? It is really good, isn't it? What do you think? You've only used it once, yeah? Someone here use it? Lisa? Yeah? You've used it, what do you think? Really good? It's changed the way we do grocery shopping forever. It's enabled, the software is the enabler. See, the internet was there all along, but it's the apps that made the difference. And so do you think that's going to help Woolies grow their market share? Yes? Yeah. Don't maybe come down there. So Web 3.0, or the future, is mobile media. So we've gone from desktop to laptop to palm. We've gone from broadcast to social to mobile. We've gone from cash to credit to tap and bump. This little finger on my right, this little finger will do more for you and your future cash flow than at any other time ever in the history of business. Because now all we have to do is tap or bump. And Nokia have only recently, in June, they released the first version in their phone of an app that connects direct into your bank and credit card account. So what we see in the future is that people won't even carry wallets anymore, because all your credit and savings will be able to be accessed through apps that are installed on mobile devices. So the thing you won't want to lose is your what? Mobile phone. Because it's more than that, it's a mobile device. And it's a gateway to everything in your life. And we're not just talking about phones. You know, tablets are another major player in this whole arena as well, in the apps arena. And it's so long as it can fit in the palm and we can access the internet at any time and we have apps that allow us to be creative, people are getting connected and they're also spending money through these facilities. And this is the future frontier of cash flow. And what's most exciting about this is that all of the barriers to people like you and I in how to do business, how to get the message out, how to get the backing of the big boys, all those things that were barriers in the past are now well and truly gone. And not only is it a future frontier and a new era and a new paradigm and a new economy, it's a brand new world for entrepreneurs. And the future millionaires and billionaires will come from the ranks of people like you and me. And we're already seeing that. I'm actually not telling you something that may be happening. This is already happening. It's just whether or not you've clued into it. You know, you only have to look at the social media guys like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, you know, or the guys that started YouTube. That started at a dinner party. They just wanted to upload a video of them having fun. And a few years later, Google paid them a couple of billion for their website. So we are in an era now that is unprecedented for people like you and I. There is no need to work hard and feel miserable any longer. You can be creative, you can have fun, and you can tap in to a marketplace that's going to grow whether you'll do it well or not. Is that good news or good news? It's great news. So it reminded me over the last 10 years of the most fun that I ever had and the easiest money that I ever made and the most profitable that I was. And when I came out of Jamie's seminar and I got those principles and practices from Richard Branson and I had this re-energized look at how I was going to do business in the future, I came back and I focused hard on the internet. And I got in at a time, I was already on the internet in 1996, but I came back from that point and I had this whole new perspective on things. And I thought, if I can get myself positioned well on the search engines, I can get free leads into my website and I can make money from that. And so I just focused on being somebody that was in ahead of everybody else and that I was going to be noticed under words that I wanted to get recognized for. And the natural growth of people coming on the internet and starting to look for things and spend money built my business for me, good or good. I didn't have to go out and look for people. I didn't have to hustle. I didn't have to sell and all those things that irk me sometimes. You know, it was fun because orders were coming in, sales were coming in, and I'm just having a good time going, wow, I'm sure glad I got in now, right? Who knows what I'm talking about? You know, have you ever had that feeling when you feel like you're floating on air? Who's had that feeling? Things just seem to come together really well and you're like, man, I'm glad I did this. Who's ever had that feeling? Somebody. I tell you, it is the best feeling ever, and I see it again now. And that's why I've been underground for the last 12 months, and I've been looking at all of this. I got a call up back in early 2010 from a Hollywood studio. And I've written a best-selling book on doing business, all this sort of stuff. So I've got great, you know, credibility, things that I could go on about, but it really doesn't matter. It's only relevant to what matters to you. So I get called up to be a part of this movie, Hollywood movie, with Brian Tracy and Bob Proctor. And they said, would you be willing to come over and do a casting for it? So I'm like, I think so. You know that thing where you back to, you know, Adrian at Ihuru Island trying to be cool, right? Like, oh yeah, I'll just check my diary, right? So I go over and I'm sitting in the pre-casting lounge and I'm just chatting, small talking with this guy. And I said, I'm really fascinated by this whole apps thing. I think it might be the way the market's going to go. And because I was starting to, when you start to raise awareness and you start to notice things because you're what we call reticular activating system, it's a bit like if you buy a red car, you suddenly see the same car everywhere, right? So I was noticing all this stuff. So he says, you really got to hook up with my friend Brent. I'm like, okay, cool, Did that sound all right for American? I'm getting back at them. I'll try better. So I'm like, oh yeah, we kept talking, and I kept talking about apps. He goes, you really need to hook up with my friend Brent. I'm like, okay, well tell me about Brent. Well, it turns out that Brent is well and truly entrenched in Silicon Valley, in California. Now, whilst all of our gadgetry might be manufactured in Asia, the innovation and the brains are in Silicon Valley. So immediately my interest was piqued. So to finish the story off, I end up hooking up with his mate, who then hooks me up with this group of entrepreneurs in the States who have formed a mastermind, and they're basically positioning themselves, and we're working as a network, promoting each other's apps and everything. And I think they fell in love with the Aussie girl with the koala, right? So they've just embraced me into this little posse, this little, group of guys. And we're going over soon to meet them in person, so that's going to be a heap of fun. And so we started this mastermind. And so I've had insights from these guys over the last 12 months, because America is a little bit ahead of us. You know that, yeah? They're 18 months, 2 years ahead of us in how they're applying technology, so how they're using the market and the marketplace. And so these guys have enabled me to figure out a lot of things. And so I came back to Australia, and just earlier this year, I've launched something called the Strategic Entrepreneur Club. And we're a community of entrepreneurs here in Oz, and now I've actually got a couple of people from the UK as well, and we're working together as a group as well, and I'm providing them with reports and insights and facts and stats and things that I'm allowed to disclose from the mastermind, because I have this thing that, hell, why don't we rule the world from down under? Who's with me on that? And you know what? These guys are like, oh yeah, go Aussie, go! No, go Aussie, go! I'm like, oh, careful what you wish for. We're a pretty fired up bunch down there. So, what I want to share with you now is what I've been up to. Do you want to have a look? Yeah? Who's liking this so far? Fantastic. If you really like what I present, will you go and tell the staff, right, that Jennie should have been on the main stage, right? Go Jennie. And if you think I did a really bad job, come and tell me so I can make it better. Is that a fair deal? Yeah. Thanks heaps. All right, here we go. This little finger. He went from a cute little icon to represent to you and I true cash flow and a pathway to financial freedom. Phone home is where that started. And thanks to E.T. and making that concept sexy, he's now, for me, an icon of everything that is available to us. The fun of that, the creativity of that, the technology of that, and just the joy of it. I've never felt so hot for an alien as I do for E.T. He rocks my world. So that's all. I just wanted to put it up there because, I found I have to get that in my presentation somewhere. So let's look at now some stats. Now, there's heaps of stats on the internet, but it's very rare that Apple release stats. They're pretty secretive about their business bottom line, as all businesses generally are. Generally, the types of stats you'll get are where research companies have taken, surveyed the top 100 companies and come up with averages. Who knows what I mean? In this case, what I'm going to show, though, is Apple's actual stats. But remember, we're talking about a network and an opportunity that's far bigger than just Apple. But when you can get your hands on a company-specific market leader's stats, their stats worth sharing. Would you agree? Yes? All right. Now, here's the first piece of data that I picked up that was non-Apple, but this is the first thing that got my attention when it comes to true value opportunity. Gartner Group and Forrester Research, which are two of those research companies that I talked about, have done the mass marketing surveys and research. And their predictions are that this industry that I'm talking to you about is currently, at this point in time, a $38 billion industry, forecast to grow by another $20 billion in the next 2 years. Who's going to get the $20 billion? Exactly. I looked at that and I said, well, I'm signing up, right? I want to find out more. How often do opportunities or forecasts like that come out? Seriously, these people in business, you're banging your head against a brick wall trying to get someone to buy your goddamn product, and it's a $20 million forecast growth in an industry that you and I can go and lead. Easy, fun, systematic cash flow. So this statistic was what really caught my attention initially. Now, here's Apple's iPhone App Store information that was astonishing. These 306, it'll be more now, iPhone apps available. So these are the little icons that you click on and then you're able to do stuff on your phone or your tablet. Does everyone know what I'm talking about here? Is there anyone that's like, I don't really know what an app is? We're all good? Sound good, Jen? Down the back? Wait, one more time. Thank you. Thanks for playing along. Appreciate that. It's a bloody long way back. I can see you though. Hello, tree people. Okay. So 306,000 apps exist in the iTunes network. 200,000 of those people pay to have on their iPhone or their tablet. Now remember, this is still only iPhones alone. Doesn't talk about Android or web or any other, just Apple. So 2/3 are paid apps. So right there is a money generating opportunity. Would you agree? People are willing to pay for them. Yes, Dale? You got a question? Well, we don't have those stats. She asked the breakdown by country. Does it matter in which country the person made the app, do you think? Doesn't, does it? But wait till you see a statistic on one of my friend's apps later about where his main downloads are coming from for his app. I've already given it away, really. When you consider the world's population is only 7 billion, which is a lot, right? And 70% of us have access to a mobile phone. When you run the numbers on that, each app available through the iPhone store would be worth $48,000 each if you averaged it out. Does everyone know what I'm talking about here? Just as a basic calculation. To highlight to you, there's a $20 billion growth opportunity in this industry, the industry of apps on mobile devices. 2/3 of them are paid, and in the ratio of 7 billion, let's say it's now 400 or even 500,000 apps, right? Nearly double what's there. You take 500,000 apps and 7 billion people. Is that a big gap? Is it? It's a massive gap. Who can start to see what I'm talking about when I talk about a true value opportunity? There's not enough apps for the population that wants to access them. So there's a massive opportunity, even if the industry didn't grow any more. If 70% of the 7 billion people on the planet have access to a mobile phone and there's only 500,000 apps to pick from, there's a long way to go before there's even a balance of one app for every 2 people or one app for every 1 person. There's a lot of space to fill in. You with me? Are you with me down the back? Tree people. Great to hear from you. Fantastic. So these stats were incredibly enlightening for me. Now the iPad store, so this is a tablet as opposed to a mobile phone. These are the stats that Apple gave us. 60,000 iPads apps are currently available. So as a percentage, 1/5 of the amount of apps that are available on iPhones are available on iPads. Yet look at the growth of people with iPads. Now I know this is the heaviest slide in the whole presentation, but it's important to have some facts and stats. Would you agree? Good. Yeah, I like to know these things too. So there's only 60,000 apps in the iPad market. So when you make an app, it looks different on and operates, it's a different file, if you like, on a phone to what it is on a tablet. So there's only 60,000, of the 300,000 apps that exist on iPhones, only 60,000 of them have bothered to make an iPad version. Does that make sense? Okay, great. And this is really big here. In April of 2010, the iPad was released to the market. This is when it first came out. In June, there were 10,000 apps added. In August, 20,000. In November, 40, and January 2011, the 60K of apps. So it's doubling every quarter. Yet it's still not even close to catching up to iPhone. And the whole market is still getting into the idea of having apps. People are getting them because they're what? What do you think is making people go, I've got to get that app? Convenience, definitely. They're far more useful, absolutely. What was that one? They're entertaining, fantastic. Social proof. People saying, I've got this really cool app, you've got to go get it too. And here's the thing, particularly with iPhone that makes, and Apple that makes this really exciting as entrepreneurs. With a simple tap, I'll buy your app and I don't even have to enter any payment details. When you have an Apple product, they have your credit card on file. They have the whole world of people that have phones and pads credit card on file. All I've got to click is, yes, I want it. Or tap, yes, I want it. And so people are going into the app networks and they're looking for education. They're looking for information. They're looking for entertainment. And they'll take from what's available to them. And there's mass gaps in what's available. So I'm working in a number of different arenas in the small business solutions, and we're going to give you some examples on some great apps for small business, but I'm also making an app right now that's a creative version of, I'm writing a book at the moment. The reason I got called up for that movie was because I do a lot of work with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I spoke at their big international convention last year. I actually spoke with the grandson of Napoleon Hill, which was a buzz, and a real career highlight for me. And I'm currently writing a book called The Law of Alignment, Why My Life is Like This. Because what we align with is what we actually get. And people have tried the law of attraction and The Secret, and they can't quite work out why it doesn't work. Because it's more than just what you think and the vibes you put out. It's the decisions you make and the action you take. That's what you're aligned with, the decisions you make and the actions you take. So I'm making an app out of content from my book that's going to go on to the networks, the apps networks, and it's going to be a mindset development app. So people are going to get little messages from me, and it's going to lead to further information that they can get through my app on the internet. They're going to be able to buy stuff from me, do all of these sorts of things. So it's more like a gaming. We call that adult entertainment, actually, right? So there's all these different things that you can do. Whether or not you just have an app for small business or whether you want to do something more creative, there's an abundance of opportunity for every one of us. Me and my Strategic Club members, we've stepped up. We're going to get in there and we're going to play. And we're going to have a go at all of this, because if I have been able to transmit to them and they understand what I went through in the early 2000s with the internet till about 2006. I made more money than I could imagine. It wasn't that I planned all this income and I had this great, vision or anything like that. The natural growth of the market, what I'm showing you there, picked my business up and took it with it. And that's what made it fun and easy. And that's where you are with this right now. So let's have a look. Oh yes, and this is another statistic, that Apple released. They've already paid out $3 billion to people like you and me. Who'd like a small percentage of that? Down the back? Give me a woohoo. All right, excellent. Up the front? Down the back? Up the front? Down the back? Front, back, front, back, front, back. All right, I'm messing with you. I'm having fun. That's a lot of money. And they're paying it to people like you and I, not because we're programmers, but because we had an idea or we had a business and we got somebody else to do the work for us. and put it on these networks. And you know what? Apple charged $99 for you to submit your app. Now, they might knock it back, but it's 99 bucks, and you can have Apple promoting your products for you. And all they want in return per sale is 30%. Is that phenomenal or what? That's a big woohoo. Let me hear it. I mean, when else ever have you had opportunities like that as entrepreneurs, small business owners, pajama entrepreneurs, working from home in your spare room? So, based on what I learned about the market and where it was going, what I learned from Richard, what I learned from Jamie, this is the criteria I've come up with called the true value opportunity versus other opportunities, how to measure whether or not this is going to help you move forward, easy, fun, systematic cash flow. Because there's opportunities out there that'll be hard, painful, disillusioning, will wear you out, run you down. You know what I'm talking about? So what I've come up with is 5 key criteria, and we're going to run through those now and relate them back to this particular opportunity. Who's ready for that? Fantastic. All right. Criteria 1, add value to what you're already doing. And that's pretty much what we were, told about what Richard Branson's doing. He looks at what's already out there, what people already want, where there's natural flow, where there's natural momentum, where there's a genuine growth opportunity. He doesn't try and create a new market and a brand new idea that no one's ever heard before and then spend all his time and money trying to convince people it's the way to go. He clicks in or joins in on stuff that's already happening. So that's my first criteria. It's something that can add value to what you're already doing. And this was how I got started, particularly in apps, and how my friends in the mastermind got started. We looked at what we were already doing. We're like, what could we make or what could we put into an app that would help us share our information, our education, in my case, my inspiration, my ideas, and what are the things that I'd have fun doing as well? But I based it on stuff I already knew. So I didn't start with something I had no idea about. Does that make sense? Right? Starting with something you have no idea about is not easy fun, right? It's painful. So it's not about learning how to be a programmer. You are the ideas person. You're the person that says, I reckon I could make something about this. Or I reckon I could make something about that. And then these people that will build them for you. Does that make sense? Yep. So I don't want you to become a programmer. I want you to become a strategic entrepreneur. So adding value to what you're already doing, this is a great place to start with apps. And this is where I tell all my clients to start. What do you already know? What do you already do? What do you want to share through an app? Let's get that together. Is that a great way to cut your teeth in something that you've never done before? Absolutely. And I've seen people get involved in opportunities they know absolutely nothing about. Like me, I'd never been on the stock market before, and I learnt just enough to be dangerous, and I was. You too, Rod? Yeah. So the second criteria is that the opportunity allows you to extend and expand on what you're already doing. So if you take the law of alignment, the book that I'm doing, I'm going to be able to build an app out of that, but then I want to do more than just sell my app. I want to be able to offer other things that relate to the topic, yeah? So if I'm talking about the law of alignment, which is the truth behind why the law of attraction isn't working for you, or why my life is like this, what I want to do is be able to go beyond my own book, because I can't write a book every other week, can I? That's a lot of work. But what I can do is introduce you to your products and your products and your products that might be on the same topic. So is that a great way for me to extend and expand on my original book? Does that make sense? Down the back? So the second thing that you want to do is, how can I extend and expand on this idea? So can you start to see we're sort of forming a little bit of a system? We're not just going out there and jumping on this and going, I'm just going to make an app. We're thinking about it a little bit more structured. The third criteria is timely to the market. Who's ever heard of something called the product life cycle? Okay, great. Thank you for that. Who's never heard of the product life cycle? Excellent. I'm about to teach it to you. That's handy. So timely to the market. If there was one business I would never do now, right now, I would never start a hosting or website development business. But when I started it in 2004, it was extremely successful and it was extremely easy to build. But right now, I'd be competing against India, who are charging $120, right? And my Australian labour charges that just to show up, right? So you know what I'm saying? So timely to the market is everything. And hosting, dime a dozen. You know, you shouldn't be paying more than $20 a month for your hosting. Paying any more than that, you know, you should shop around. So when I got involved in those things though, I made a lot of money easy. Does that make sense? Right now, not a go. So timing to the market, when you understand the principle of product life cycle, no matter what you do from this day forward, I'm giving you principles and practices that don't only apply to apps, they'll apply to any decision that you make about your financial future. This is what we call the bell curve. Who's ever heard of the bell curve? Fantastic. This is essentially a product life cycle. It's divided into two halves, pre-critical mass and post-critical mass. Where do you think critical mass is? At the top, exactly, it's the peak. And every product or every opportunity, every market goes through this natural cycle. Some happen a lot faster than others. Beta video recorders had a very short product life cycle, didn't they? Yet mobile phones, the original mobile phones, you know, are not what we have today. The product life cycle of that type of phone started to decline, just like the bell curve. But what? A better phone came out, and then a better phone came out. You follow what I'm saying? And so this bell curve, when you understand it, everything works in cycles. Who's heard that term before? It's something Jamie teaches. Everything works in cycles. Money and stock markets and property, everything works in cycles. This is the cycle of product. So which side do we want to be on? Show me. We want to be on. So I want to be on that side. I want to be on that side of opportunity. Yes, you do. So remembering there's a $20 billion growth opportunity here. Oh, that's handy. There we go. Now, this first half is broken into two segments. And the first segment is called the early adopters. They're the people that get in when no one else knows about anything to do with it. They're the people that will be the beta testers for an opportunity or a product or whatever it might be. They're usually the eternally loyal. They're the people that will stay all night out the front of a store to buy a product. Who knows what I'm talking about? You don't have to look at Apple for that, right? Now, even though it's on the right side of the bell curve, does that sound like easy fun? Didn't sound like easy fun to those people that got the original phone and had all of these problems with it, and it didn't even have a camera and, you know, all of these features that the other phones had. So early adopters, we want to wait till post the early adopters. We don't want to be the first out there because that's hard, right? It's a hard gig on every level. But we want to be pre-critical mass. So we want to be in this section here. And this is where we are right now with the app industry and the app opportunity. This is where the best cash flow opportunity to meet the criteria sits for you, me, and in any opportunity or any industry that you move into. You want to move in a time when there's natural growth that you can ride the wave of, if you like. So when you hear people talking about riding the wave, they're basing it back on this scientific principle of the bell curve. Are we liking this? Okay. Now, products and phones are never going to die altogether, right? We're always going to have them in some way, shape or form. They're just going to be improved and morph again. And the smartphone was the latest version of morphing. Apple released their iPhone 4 recently, and that's just a beginning of another product. And it may not have the same lifespan as something else. It might die off very quickly and they'll reinvent again. And so where we're sitting here is we want to get involved in the section there, pre-critical mass, when, as I was saying before, that natural growth in the market is going to help you to get your product and your cash flow flowing easily, because naturally people are coming to it. So that's the third criteria. Where are you looking? Where are you sitting in the product life cycle? And are you positioned to take advantage of the biggest growth segment of the bell curve? Who likes that? Yes or yes? Yep. Down the back? Up the front? In the middle? Down the back? Down the back? Don't make me come down there. In the middle? All right, fantastic. Up the front? All right, great. The fourth criteria. Now, when I was growing up as a plumber's daughter, very good. Yeah. When I was growing up, there was nothing attractive about the plumber's crack at all. Right? I can remember my dad, who ran the business, he'd go, "Pull up your bloody dacks," to the guys that worked for him, right? Plumbers speak for, "Would you please cover your butt crack," right? But being relevant to your market or being relevant to the world that you live in is critical for you to understand to bring your product to market. This is why things like, if you notice in an industry, particularly say personal development, a lot of marketing is done around the end of year, beginning of the new year. Weight loss, a lot of marketing is done around that time of the year, right? Because it's when we've got our ears up, our ears open. So I'm not just talking about generations here, but the reason I put shit. Is that on film? I didn't put my Spanx on because it's so hot. She got a shot of my butt, didn't she? Damn. Bad girl. You should have known better. It's all about understanding, right, that in the future, the reason I put this particular one up, at least I'm honest about it, right? Am I going red? Yeah. Is that these are the future holders of wealth. And you, no matter what you do in the future for cash flow, what's that? Oh, that's why their pockets are hanging down. So they're so weighted down at the moment with all their coins. But, you know, I'm thinking about Generation Y as the future influencers of the world. And they've grown up as natives to the digital, mobile, internet world, right? They've gone through school with access to all of these things. It's second nature to them, right? I did year 9 typing, and yeah, typing, right? And the reason we all took typing was because we could play records. Because the typing teacher thought it would be easy to learn to type to the beat of music. So everyone in year 9 signed up for typing so we could change our 45 records. So people of my generation, right, we want to start thinking about the future wealth holders, the future decision makers. And these people are into this stuff. If you bring out something that's relevant to baby boomers and Gen X and even Gen Y, like, well, you know, I'm not Gen Y, Gen X, something or other. So I'm on the cusp. You know which side I'm going to lean to. But, you know, you want to be thinking about where are the future trends and what are the future needs of those who control the money in our community. Make sense? Yep. So being relevant to the market is the 4th criteria. And then the 5th criteria, which relates back to what I learned about Richard Branson, was if he can't see how he's going to make money, he doesn't do it. He doesn't get in and see what happens. He gets in because he can see where the opportunity is, he can see the growth, he can see the need, and he has an idea on how he can fill the gap in the marketplace. And so we've been conditioned through the web teachers like myself that we should give away something for free. And you know what? You can actually make money with free apps. It's one of the 5 ways that we teach you. You can make money through free apps, through referrals to products and services that will click through to websites, and you can also sell advertising in the app. How's that? And so this mastermind I'm in the States, we've started this network where we're all sharing each other's apps. And so if you download, what's your name? If you download Catherine's app, you also get a little what we call splash screen about my app. And I pay her for that advertising space. And so we're growing each other's businesses these ways. Plus what's happening now, there's a whole advertising. This is where ad agencies are going to be heading, right? They're going to be bringing products and services from their customers. Let's say it's women's skincare. You know, let's say they're doing something for Nivea. And then you've got a women's health and well-being and vitality app and website, and that's your business. They're looking for people like you that have a community of people that have downloaded your app, and they'll pay you money to put their advertisement for Nivea in your app. This is what the big boys have been able to do ever since the history of business commenced. But those sorts of opportunities haven't been available to people like you and me. So this again, why I'm talking about the future frontiers of cash flow. So free is good, yeah? But what I learned from the mastermind is people are more than happy to pay $1. So instead of having this mentality of the old economy, which is you've got to give something away for free and then hope that people like what you do and then maybe spend money with you eventually, wrong answer. People easily, with the tap of their little ET, as I call it now, tap of the little ET, easily spend a dollar with you through iTunes. So this is a paradigm shift. If you had 10,000 people download your app for $1, how much money is that? $10,000. You've made your app once, you've put it into a system and a directory and a network that's doing the rest of the work for you, and they pay you your 70% of that every time someone buys. So, the fifth criteria of monetization is you must see at least one way that you can make money, and I've given you two. Now, what we're doing in the Strategic Entrepreneur Club is I actually spent the last probably about 4 to 6 weeks doing an annual income plan. So I've done a way to make $100,000. Now, this is a plan I'm personally following, right? I haven't completed my 12 months yet. But what I figured was if I could make $100,000 out of an opportunity like this with 5 different ways of making money, 2 of which I've just told you, selling the app for $1 and selling advertising space on my app, would that be a good day? Would that be a good year? Yes. That would set me up for a year quite comfortably. And I'm going to have fun doing it. And Apple and Android and all the other networks, they're going to do the marketing for me. All I do is tell them what keywords I want my app to be found under. And then people search and it shows up just like a search engine. But these search engines are massively underpopulated by people with apps, people like you and me. Plus, you don't have to only use them. You can promote your app to anyone and everyone, offline and online. They don't have to download it through those communities. Good news? Good news. So, you want to be looking for how can I make money out of this opportunity, because that's a principle that I learnt from Richard Branson. Now, here's the big problem, is that people will hear what I say today, and you'll start to hear more and more about this in the news, especially now I've talked about it, right? Because I've raised your awareness, called your RAS. And what people will do is they'll just get involved, but they won't get involved strategically. So what's going to happen is people are going to go spend $5,000, $10,000 getting an app built. They'll put it on the Apple network because it's $99. They'll get it approved, and guess what will happen? Right? The statistics of failure will never change. Right? The ones that make it through are strategic, and they have a system, they have a structure. That's why I've come up with the $100,000 plan. Because even if I got it half right, was it still worth making the plan initially? Even if I got it quarter right, I'd be happy to make $25,000 through Apple. Thank you very much. Deposit it into my bank account. I'm good with that. And so don't look at opportunities and go, I'm just going to get involved and go off on your own. Hook into some sort of education, some sort of support system. On apps, obviously I've got one, and it doesn't have to be me. But if you understand anything of what I'm saying today, don't make the mistake of just going out and finding somebody to build an app and think that you're set. Because do you think, like anything, there's things to learn along the way? Absolutely. So a lot of people will do this, and so the same statistics of failure will happen here as they do everywhere else, right? It's unfortunate, but you've got to have a system and a structure in place. There's no getting around that. If you really want to do things big, if cash flow is the key to set you free, then why not be sensible and structured and systematic about it? If cash flow will set you free, then be sensible and structured and systematic about it. Take it seriously. You cannot afford to live in this world without cash flow anymore. And in Australia in particular, we close in really hard and fast on people that can't pay their bills. And you don't want to ever put yourself in that situation. Because the only thing that then is left is getting rid of your assets, and then you go back to zero real fast. And if you're like me, when I knew just enough to be dangerous, you'll go beyond zero. And then you spend the next 12 months just getting back to zero. I don't recommend that. It was worth the investment that I made to join this mastermind to make sure I got this right. Because I see the window, I see the opportunity, I understand the criteria, and I want to make sure I get this right. Now, do you think I'm going to make mistakes along the way? Do you think I've already made some? Yes, but I know how to correct them. I understand what I'm doing, and I've got people supporting me to help me do that. So, did you like that criteria? Here's the thing. Don't be like a checkers player who just jumps all around the board on the available squares. Think like a chess player. They make strategic moves, they look at the whole board, they look at what's coming next, and they also have different types of pieces in their setup. Whereas on a checkers board, they're all just the same. Here, you've got a variety of different weapons or tools in your arsenal to draw on. So think like a chess player when you're looking at any opportunity. Otherwise, that in itself could be your very demise right there. And it is a lot of the time the very reason why people fail in what they do. How do you think I know that? Oh yeah, I did it all right. So let's now look at social media, and in particular, how you can use apps on Facebook. Because as I was mentioning before, Facebook, if you get too involved, can very quickly become freakbook, right? Now, I'm one of the freaks on Facebook, but I'll admit it. This is not about you getting on Facebook and spending all day on Facebook now. This is about cash flow to set you free, not to tie you into networking all day, every day. So apps have been the big game changer in social media. And particularly on Facebook, some of the more popular apps are Farmville. Who's played Farmville on Facebook? I know you have, Di. Thumbtown? Yep. Who's played any of the games on Facebook? They're all apps. Texas Hold'em, all those things, they're all known as apps. And Farmville's one of the biggest ones. But for business people like you and I, apps represent the ability for us to build lists virally. So the big shift here is instead of trying to get people to your website now to get into your sales funnel or get onto your sales page and do all of those things that we're all trying to fight to do to get noticed above everybody else, with an app, instead of a page, and that's the comparison I want to share with you now, an app instead of a page not only brings people to your Facebook page that you've set up, but in joining your page, it also collects all of their key data for you as well. So an app on Facebook acts as a lead generation tool. What does it act as? Lead generation tool, and it happens automatically. Who likes the sound of that? Yeah. Automatic apping. So here's an example of one, Buddha Bless. Now on a normal Facebook page, it just has a like button at the top. Who knows what I'm talking about there? So you go to someone's Facebook page and you click on like, and basically you become a member of it. And Facebook just last week said no longer can you actually mail the people that join your page. So people that join your page, you have to keep putting content on there to get them to come back to your page. Does that sound like work? Yes? It does. But with an app, what happens is when they go to what looks like a Facebook page, a normal Facebook page, they like it, but they also can join it as an app member. So it's like downloading your app, right? But all they do is they click a button on your Facebook page, and they go to the app, and the app says, can I please collect from you the following information? And people click on allow for their personal information that they have on their Facebook profile to be made available to you as the app owner. So you can get their name, their age, where they live, what their interests are, all of that personal data that people put on their Facebook profile. The app collects this information for you. Then the second thing on this example is that the people are giving you permission to send them an email. So now you can actually follow up with them and you can provide communication that you can't now do on a Facebook page. And then the third thing it does is it gives permission for a notification to go out to say, Rod likes Jennie Armato's Buddha Blessed page. And that goes on his Facebook wall and then to all the people that he knows as well. Stay with me. All the people that he knows as well all get told about the fact that he has liked my page. So then his people come and they have a look as well, and then they join. And this is the viral nature of apps on Facebook. Question? How do you get into the app is the question. Well, you actually can buy the software to make apps, or you can pay somebody on a website like Elance to make the app for you. So we've turned social media from a networking site into a list building site. for us. So we're doing business straight out of Facebook without having to actually do the business. The app is doing the business for us. It's collecting that information and then allowing us to access that information and also contact them as well. Is that pretty cool? So this is the future frontier on social media for business. It's not sitting there networking all day and becoming a freak book. It's about getting the information easily and concisely and then being able to follow them up with what it is that you do. Here's some mobile media apps now that I want to talk about. Here's one that a friend of mine built for a restaurant near where he lives in the States called Sharky's. And so when people download this app onto their mobile device, the app opens up with a picture of Sharky's restaurant. And what's the little message that you can see there? Would you like to join our mailing list for exclusive updates? So before you even access their app, there's a tap. Tap to get into the app, yes or no? And so do you think most people say yes? Of course they do, because they've decided to download your app. Now they go into your mail list. Now you can do what? Now you can follow them up, right? Now you can follow them up by email, exactly. And so simply by downloading the app, you've now built another list member on your mailing list. Oh, a couple of other things there. You can see a menu across the bottom, and you can see call us, directions, and tell a friend. And these are the sorts of things that work really well for local businesses, because the directions, your mobile device will pinpoint where you are right now and will show you a map on how to get to Sharky's from where you are at that point in time. Tell a friend acts as a viral tool, and of course call us, you tap that and the phone number for the restaurant starts ringing on your phone. Pretty direct, pretty instant sort of access. Now, you'll see down the very bottom, can you see the very bottom menu there? Can you see that? The home? I'll highlight it in a moment. We've worked out that the most powerful app is what we call a 4x12. That's 4 across the bottom and 12 in the More menu, which I'll show you in a moment. And we say, have a home, a link to your store, a link to what we call the core, or the one product you'd want everybody to buy, and then a link to more. So home, store, core, and more. Is that easy to remember? What is it? Home, store, core, and more. So this is the structure that we've been testing that's working brilliantly for small business on these apps. Let's have a little bit of a further look. So now we're in the More menu. Okay, so you can see down the bottom, this last button at the bottom here is More. Everyone see that? And so you can put all sorts of things, anything that you want into your app, as a sub-menu of information. There's a couple I just want to highlight here. There's a link to join the newsletter. So within the app, if someone taps to go through here, they can also subscribe through here to get onto your newsletter as well. So it also exists within the app. And you can see some other features there. You can see reservations, because this one happens to be for a restaurant. So you tap on that and you can make a reservation. The calendar comes up and you can pick a date, and then it'll ask you the time, it'll ask you how many people, any other special needs that you have. You tap all of your answers in, you hit send, and then the restaurant gets the notification at the other end that you've made a booking. So you and I meet up here and we say, let's catch up on Tuesday night for dinner at Sharky's restaurant. We make the booking there and then. I'll see you there. If you've got the directions, download their app. She downloads their app, opens it up from home. It says, here you are, and this is where you've got to go. That's the world we now live in. And it's just a local restaurant. You know, it's a basic seafood restaurant in Tennessee somewhere, I think it is. You know, is that cool or cool? Right? That app cost them $1,100. And yet they're writing business that easily out of it. And they're opening up a whole new marketplace and also a whole new generation of clientele that may not have come to them otherwise. Because particularly with Gen Y, they're downloading the apps just because they're bloody apps, because it's cool to have them. And you know, where we used to like compare Barbie doll dresses and stuff, they're like, what apps have you got? What apps have you got? Right? And they're swapping stories. Push notification. This is my favorite. What is it? And it's my favorite. Bye-bye to 4, 5, and 10% open rate on email. Push notification allows you to send out to everybody who has your app a message up to 125 characters that is delivered just like a text message with a little blue box, and it shows up and buzzes in the hands and the pockets of the people that are carrying their mobile phones with them 24/7. We're even taking them to the toilet. How do I know? I dropped mine in there. The second iPhone. Not good. But we've got them with us all the time. So what's happening is business is sending out these little push notifications, and instantly people are what? Compelled to look right there and then, in the moment. Now, here's a great example of an app we've done for a hair salon in Sydney. They have the push notification on their app, that's what it's called, and in the app there, what you can do is review all the old ones. So if you've got their app, you can look at all the previous notifications that they sent out, so it stores it like a history. So I send one out today. Let's say this is my hair salon, right? What's your name? Rich has just rung me up. He says he can't make his 2 o'clock appointment. And I'm sitting there. Now and it's 1 o'clock. What have I got? Dead time, right? I now have a vacant spot. I send out a push notification to all the people that have my app. And I say, I have an opening in an hour. If you want a haircut, it's 50% off. Ring me right away. And so everyone that gets that has my app gets that notification. Right? So you're just down the road. What's your name? Vince. So Vince is just down the road. He sees it and he goes, I've been meaning to go get a haircut. He taps, and now what have I done? I feel dead time. I feel dead time in my hair salon with active income. Is it better to get 50% of Vince's money than 100% of a cancellation? Yes or yes? So this has revolutionized the way that you can connect with the marketplace. So they look just like a text message, and because it's in my hand and I get the notification, I'm compelled to read it. These have a 95% plus open rate. These have a 95% plus open rate. Let me hear you say, woohoo! Woohoo, all right. Down the back? Up the front? In the middle? All together? One more? All right, come on. I'm working hard. One big woohoo! All right, thanks. So, there's all sorts of things that you can put in here, but does that change the game for most small business? So what we're doing with our apps, I'm creating one for authors and speakers, right? Talk about monetization. So I've created an app for my book that I told you about before, and I've created the template for that now. So not only am I going to make money in my $100,000 plan with my own thing, do you think I can now sell that template to other authors? Yes. So I've set myself up as a reseller of the apps that I'm making, and I'm selling them my shell and showing them these things. And I built an app during the week for an author. I have a very easy online tool, and I built it, and he shot me back a note straight away. He goes, "This is totally cool. How much?" I said, $1,100. He goes, "How soon can I get it?" And I said, "I need a couple of hours." And that's it. And the guy's in the game now in the mobile networks. Now, he's also got some other things that he could download it from his website. We've submitted it to iTunes, to the Android network, all of these other places. Is that going to help build his profile as an author? So it's another way that we're making money. The apps that we're creating for ourselves. One of my clients down the back, Trish, in the nail salon industry, she's made a prototype for a nail salon in America. Can she now also offer that to nail salons in Australia? Right? They're all geographical. So, you're in Hawthorne, you're in South Yarra, I'm in East Melbourne. We're not going to be clashing with each other's marketplace. So these are really powerful enablers within these apps. And they change the game considerably for small business especially. Another one is called QR coupons. And I can only talk about this briefly, but QR coupons are the ability for you to have a square box, and I'll show you in a moment what it is, and with people simply opening a scanner, which is like a photographs app on their mobile device, they take a photo of your QR code, and whatever you program into it will open up on their device. So let's say you open up your booking sheet, you open up a sales page, you open up a special offer, whatever it is that you open up on the app, the QR code is pre-programmed to open up whatever it is that you want. So if you own a retail store, you could have QR codes in the window and it says, scan this code and come in tomorrow and get half price off. So someone's walking past the window, they scan the code, they come in tomorrow and they show the store and the store goes, yep, you're in, you got it. What a great way to build business. And there's all sorts of examples, but they're just a couple ones for local businesses. And then you can link to social media, things like fan walls, Facebook and Twitter, and I was talking about the apps before on Facebook. You can link to all of that through here. So all of these things, all this technology is talking to each other. It's not just information inside the app. You can go anywhere beyond the app as well. Cool or cool? Yeah. And here's what they look like. Here's an example of the QR codes. So someone walks past, if they've got an Android, an Apple, or HTML5, which works on BlackBerry and other platforms, you can scan that code and it will automatically download my app to your mobile device. So that's an offline marketing method that you can use, and then also we're providing these online as well. So these are on websites. So people looking at a website, they might be at home or on a laptop or somewhere, and they see this, they scan it, and then it downloads the app onto their device there and then for them. So I'm not just relying on the Apple network or Android network to do the work for me. That's what's really exciting. You can do your own marketing as well, and that's my app on the iPhone there. So here's mine, just quickly. Would you like to join our mail list for exclusive updates? Yes, you tap on that. Then what happens is they automatically go to this page. They fill out the details, tap on join, and now they're in my autoresponder. And that's all it takes to get people onto a mailing list. And it's all voluntary, and it's all instant, and I've done nothing except make my app available for them to download. And so all the pain of trying to build a list has gone. Because in this world, people are downloading these and they're just doing it naturally and organically. And then they're getting into my autoresponders and my business is being built and I'm not doing a single thing for it. Is that cool or cool? Very cool. All right. And that's, of course, on the More tab as well. So not only are they getting that option when they first open the apps, we have them programmed that it's also one of those menu items on the More as well. Remember I was talking about the 4x12 structure here. You can see I've got home, I've got store, and I've got a fifth one, which is my shows, and then I've got my core product, which is my club, and it's got join club with a light bulb. People click on that, and they can find out all about the Strategic Entrepreneur Club, and of course, there's a tap button to order to join on my membership. So again, through the app, I'm selling my core product, which is my club, and the app's doing all the work for me. And I've got it, basically that's a featured spot. Would you agree? It's a featured spot on the bottom menu. So again, I'm building my club membership through my app. And you can do the same too. And of course, again, with this structure, can I sell this to other people that I know that want to do a similar thing to what I want to do? I've built it once, I've created it once, built the prototype, and now other people can replicate and basically substitute my information with their information. Good or good? Yeah, it's really good. And then finally, I want to share with you my friend Trey in the States. He's really into gaming. And he's made a number of entertaining products. I'm more educational and adult education in particular, whereas he's more into games. So this is something that you build up to because it's a little bit more complex to do. Start with the small business apps and build up to these. But this is one that he released in September. And to answer your question before about Australia, he released this in September, and it's a basic game, and he opened it up as a free download for a limited amount of time. And that was advertised in the Apple network. There was a limited time free download. So you think that actually helped increase the interest and the desire to download it? Most definitely. So here's his stats that he printed out for us and for me to share with you today. You can see on Monday the 5th of September, he released it, and he made $300 on a free app. So it was free to download, but he made $300 within the app. How do you think he might have done that? Advertising and links to other products and apps within his app. And he had 11,299 downloads. Now you'll notice that the income generally basically grows. And if you look at Sunday the 11th, he's pretty much tapped out at the same as what he was the day before. But have a look at the downloads. The number of downloads had decreased because he took it off from free, yet the income didn't decrease. Because people were getting more engaged within the app. So it wasn't now about the amount of people that downloaded, it was that there were things to do within it. So he didn't have to get more people to make the same amount of money in a day. Who'd like to make $2,300 in a day? Now, that's not on a trade that you then have to wait for expiration or the market can turn, or you have to have 100,000 or 200,000 now to put a deposit on property. In this case, that is money that you get to keep. It's money made. It's money made. And this is cash flow that comes from using the networks and using the promotional connections that we have in particular through what we're doing. So Trey, is that a pretty good start to launching a new game? Just a free new name. Quick question. Quick question. Quick. Oh yeah, it's a great story. Did you hear about the 17-year-old who did the app for vacant car spots? So you open the app and it tunes into where you are, and it actually shows you on the app where this free parking spot's available in the car park. See, he just took... Yeah, he's made over $1 million on that app, so yeah. So, and that's just natural growth. He didn't have to work hard. He didn't have to have $100,000 to get it started. He didn't have to have a big advertising campaign. He just had a good idea and said, imagine if I could solve this problem. Probably could I solve this problem for my mum so she doesn't drive around cussing in the car all the time, right? So he's obviously, maybe he did it himself, or he's found someone to build the app for him. He's put it on the networks, and the natural growth has made him into a millionaire. One little idea like that. So this is neither complex, nor do you have to be any relation to technology whatsoever. You're just the idea, or just the business, or just the ability to connect products and services. They don't even have to be your own. I was telling a couple of ladies in the loo earlier that that I'm doing an app. If you ever want to know what's really going on, you go to the ladies' loo. And I was telling them, I'm doing one just for ClickBank products. So they're not even my products, but I'm building an app around a topic that I don't want to create any products in myself, but it's going to lead you to other people's products and services that I have an affiliate link with. Does everyone know what I'm talking about there? I have to keep it rolling, Dale, but I'll definitely answer your question down the back. So these are the sorts of opportunities that are available. So let me just sum up here. Criteria 1, add value to what you're already doing. So tapping into what you're already doing. Extending and expanding on what you're already doing. So in my case, I talked about the book. I'm writing one book, but that doesn't mean that I can't refer you to other books or other courses, other speakers on the same topic, or that are in alignment with my book on the law of alignment, so that I can build a business, not just make the sale from the app itself. Does that make sense? Yep. The second one, our extend and expand, is what I just talked about. Timely to market, this is the bell curve. The fourth one, relevant to the market, and in particular, be mindful of generation butt crack. And then finally, the fifth criteria, which is monetization. And this links back to the Maldive Islands in March 2002, where I had the privilege to tap into how Richard Branson makes the decisions that he makes and why he gets involved in the things that he gets involved with. And this has been the foundation for the decisions that I've been able to make since that time. And coupled with what I learned from Jamie about financial education, the one thing I learned above everything else is that cash flow, the lingo of Kachingo is, cash flow is the key to be financially free. Cash flow is the key to be financially free. All right, I want everyone to please stand up. Everyone, please stand up. This is your financial future we're talking about. And I want you to repeat after me. Cash flow is the key. For me to be financially free. Again, cash flow is the key. For me to be financially free. One more time, turn to the person next to you and say, cash flow is the key. For me to be financially free. Beautiful. Give yourselves a round of applause and please quickly take a seat. Fabulous. The lingo of Kachingo. Cash flow is the key for me to be financially free. So, have you had a good time? Would you like to know a little bit more about what I do? Great. I'd love to share with you now what I'm doing with my program, and in particular the Strategic Entrepreneur Club, because I've put together a package especially for this event. I want to build my network, I want to build my community, and I want to find people, particularly at this event, that have that same light on as me, that you want to do things that are easy to decide about, that are fun to do, that are all designed to generate cash flow, and that are going to be put into a structured system for success. They're the people I'm looking for. So if what I've presented to you today makes sense with those 4 principles that I learned off Richard Branson, then what I'm about to talk about is going to be perfect for you.